Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Alfredo, and welcome to Chat Desk Unplugged Education in Mozambique, the first English language TV's program in Mozambique that brings about promoting the learning of English in a country that is surrounded by English-speaking country. The big question is, how do the students manage to learn the language? What difficulties do they find, and how can we make it better? That's why every Wednesdays at 3:30 p.m. here on Mindcast TV, we try to bring in the show different people with different backgrounds to give us their experience. It's not going to be different today. I'm privileged to be joined by an extraordinary educator. She's a social activist. She's a volunteer, and she's also passionate about languages. Mrs. Laquitissa Tseco, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Tim. That's a great pleasure to be here today with you, and I hope to have an amazing time sharing my experiences, but also talking about English in Mozambique and education. All right.
Wow, excellent. Now, you are a proud graduate of Pedagogical University of Maputo.
Yes.
And with a degree in English language teaching.
Right.
But let's go back. Let's rewind the time and just take us to where it all started. What sparked your interest, your love for the English language? Was it a poem? Was it, like a movie that you watched? Was it somebody that inspired you, or maybe even a song? Tell us your story.
Well, this is a story, actually, I don't think I tell people enough of. So I never thought I would speak English in my entire life until I got an opportunity. I got a micro scholarship sponsored by the U.S. Department of State to attend English classes or English course at the Institute of Languages back to 2011, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So that's where my journey began. And I had a year and a half. Okay. So it was an intensive course where we had no time to rest. Actually, we had to really focus on it. Otherwise, we would be, dropped out of the course. So that's where this passion began, and I really got interested in the language. And I did all I could in order to, grasp everything and be able to communicate in the language. So it took me time actually to practice. It took me time practicing, okay, so I could be able to speak maybe fluently.
And I was actually going to ask you that. I understand it's been a long way coming. It's been such an extensive journey. How long did it take you for you to feel this comfortable? Because you are very fluent.
Well, I would not even say it took me the same amount of time the English course took. It took even more. But I was blessed enough to have friends who were my colleagues at the Institute of Languages who got scholarships to the U.S. So they went to the U.S. and we would always communicate. We would always talk. Whenever we had an opportunity, we would be on calls and everything. And other friends were already alumni, meaning they had already returned to the country, and we would have these interactions and so forth. So it helped me a lot. And now, notice something. At the Institute of Language, I learned British English. But now if you come to me speaking British English, we will communicate, of course. But I won't be able to speak in British English. Rather, I'll be speaking American English. So that's what happened. I would interact with people who had been to the US while I had learned British English. But that was, I would say maybe 2-3 years. Until I got this confidence. I remember I finished my course in 2012, December, and by the time I did grade 11, I had a Zimbabwean teacher, and guess what? He would sometimes ask me to go, to be there teaching my colleagues instead of him doing that. So also that's something that really helped me.
That's a very good strategy.
Yes.
That's a very good strategy.
Yeah, that helped me a lot, actually. So yeah, it was a long journey, but it was also very good to have people to practice with.
You told me that you love languages, and I can tell. And also you also love traveling. Tell me, give us like a fun example of how languages or miscommunications actually led to a memorable adventure, something that you can think of, that you can remember through your traveling experience.
Okay, now there is something, I still haven't unlocked what the person actually wanted to tell me. I was in Germany, 2022, and then there was this young woman from the Caribbean. I think she's from Barbados.
Okay, Barbados.
Exactly. So I had asked her to lend me her iron. So after doing the ironing and everything, I wanted to return it to her. So I'm telling her, please, here you are, your iron, and thank you. She told me something that up to date I still haven't unlocked. I really don't know what she meant. At the end, she was just like, okay, please give it to me. And that has to be with accents, actually, because if you go to the Caribbean, you will notice that their accent is way different from ours, from the American English, from the British, even from the Nigerian, the Nigerian accent and all those things. So, while traveling, I sometimes have these challenges, mostly with accents, but it's something that I'm learning to deal with.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm really learning. Recently, with a friend, a very close friend of mine from Uganda. At the beginning, I had difficulties understanding what he said. Because they have this thing, when, for example, they want to say documents, some of them will instead say documents.
Documents.
Exactly. So at first I was like...
It was confusing.
It was really confusing. Like, does he really mean what he's saying? Sorry, when you see this, don't get mad at me.
That's fine, it's fine. Just
So yeah,
feel
at
free.
first I got like really... Like, I didn't understand, but then I learned it. And now I can understand literally everything it says.
And so, with your experience in traveling, that was to expect.
That's something actually to expect. I know it happens with most people, Nigerian accent, for example. How many are able to understand everything they say?
Now, let's talk a little bit about the classroom. Mozambique's linguistic landscape is rich with Portuguese and, many different local languages. So English, just appears as that special guest in the party that everybody wants to socialize with, but sometimes they find it difficult to do so. Tell me, what is the biggest misconception Mozambican learners have about mastering English?
Well, could you kindly repeat the question?
I say, what is the biggest misconceptions that Mozambican learners have about learning English?
Well, I don't even know whether it is all about misconceptions, but I think it is hard, actually, at some point for Mozambicans to learn English.
And sorry to cut you. And one of the things why I'm asking you that question, it's because usually when you talk to people, or when you ask them whether they speak English or not, some people tend to say, oh, the English that I speak is the one that I learned at school, so it's not sufficient.
Yes.
But aren't the schools supposed to be being the model for learning?
Good question. And I love that question because that was one of the questions the jury from my presentation at UP asked. So There are actually issues behind students not being able to communicate in English, yet they learn English at school. First thing that I would mention is the fact that they have the time they have in school is reduced. I mean, like
the time allocated for the subject.
Exactly. Like
for English,
if we look at grade 7, they have 5 classes, English lessons per week. Yet it's not enough because they also have other subjects to conciliate with English. And then we go to grade 9, 8, 9, and 10, they have only 3 lessons per week. That's not enough time for somebody to learn English, somebody who has nobody to practice the language with once they go back home. So it's just that, they're at school, you as a teacher, you are going to do your best. You're going to use the best techniques, the best methods, yet the students will not be able to communicate. So the lack of practice, the reduced amount of time they have, or the reduced amount of time allocated for the subject is also one of the things that contribute to that. So students are not able to communicate because of that, but mostly because they do not practice.
They don't practice.
Yeah. It's of no use you learning a language yet.
And how do we?
How
do we solve that? How do they go about practicing?
I would say in town it's even a little bit easier.
Okay.
Okay, they can, you can use. They could just listen to music, as most often we tell our students, you have to listen to music, you have to watch movies in English and all those things. But now when we go to the rural areas, that's where the great challenge is.
That's where the big problem is. That's where the big problem is.
And I don't think people look at this enough. People don't talk about the rural areas enough. Sometimes we say the teachers are not doing what they are supposed to do, but the teachers are there, they are working. But okay, you are working in a school where there is no electricity. How are you going to display videos? How are you going to play music there? And where are those students going to find people to practice with? Those students do not have access to mobile phones where they can download videos and all those things. So it's a little bit tricky, actually, to come up with an answer to that.
You raised a point regarding rural areas. It's a point that was also raised by one of my guests. And then he came up with a question when I asked him about, he says, why do we all have to learn English? What is your take on that?
Well, I think years ago it was said that Mandarin was the largest or the most spoken language in the world, if I'm not mistaken. But now personally, I would tell you it's not. English is the global language. And if you want to have opportunities...
business?
Yeah, business.
Business-wise?
Yeah, business-wise, but also education-wise.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to have opportunities and all those things, it's important that you have English, that you can speak and communicate and all around, like in English. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult.
And when you look at it today, the most recent, the latest technologies, a lot of them come in English. It's only afterwards that there are some translated, like devices.
Exactly.
With the instructions, most of them coming in English.
Yeah, and even in countries where English is not the official language, you'll still find signs in English.
In English, yeah, I've seen that.
So it's important that you learn
very,
English.
very important.
Even if I go to China, I don't speak Mandarin, but I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get directions because I have English. So it's important that people learn English. And if people can learn English from the base, from the younger ages, I think it's better. And I have the concept that children learn better than adults. So
that's debatable. Well, let's bring in our first segment for this show. We call it Etymology Quest. Let's bring in the intro. Welcome back. We are with the segment Etymology Quest. This is a segment that we try to trace back some words commonly used in English, but they are not originally English. They came from other nations' languages. So I'm going to ask you just 3 of them to see if you can guess where these words originally came from.
Okay.
So the first one is awkward. Awkward.
Awkward.
Yeah.
Wow, I know this word, but really and honestly, I don't know the origin. I wouldn't lie.
Okay.
I don't know its origin.
Yeah. Well, why don't you take a shot, a guess?
Awkward. I know it wouldn't be a Portuguese word.
No.
It could not be Spanish as well. I don't think it could be Italian, not even Mandarin. So maybe awkward. Wow. That's a tough one. I never thought of it, actually. Could you give me hints, tips? Is it like from an African language?
No. It's Europe.
European, from Europe.
Yeah.
And it's not Portuguese, it's not English, it's not Italian, it's not Spanish.
You have 5 seconds.
Wow. Okay, German?
Oh, you get it. You get it. So let me read this out for you. Awkward comes from an Old Norse, which was a North Germanic language spoken in Scandinavia during the Viking Age, roughly from the 8th to the 14th century.
Wow.
The next one is nice. Nice, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, the word nice.
So you mean it's not English?
No, it's not. It's not
Wow.
English. Yeah.
I
nice.
see I have to learn.
We all
about
like saying nice.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most used words.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so I don't take much time. Please do give me a hint.
Okay, Latin.
Yeah. All right. So
the word originally comes from the Latin word necius, which means ignorant or unaware. Wait till you hear this. This word was borrowed into Old French as nice and was used to describe someone simple or foolish. Now, over time, the meaning of the word evolved.
Yeah.
By the 14th century, nice was used in Middle English to describe someone who was pleasant, kind, or good.
And how did it come to this extent? I mean, to change its meaning.
Yeah.
Okay, but you've said it French.
Latin.
Yeah,
Latin.
it's Latin.
Yeah, Old
so
French, yes.
It's
French. Yeah, French.
Yeah, okay.
The final one is cannibal.
Cannibal?
Yeah, cannibal. Cannibal.
Cannibal, like Canibale.
Yes, that one.
Okay, cannibal. Actually, I've never used this word. Would it be Spanish?
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay.
You got it 100% straight.
Cannibal, yeah.
Well, so that was it, our segment in Etymology Quest. Welcome back to our chat. Let's talk about, more things beyond grammar. You're passionate about music, as far as I understand, traveling, hanging out with friends. Now, English is not only found in textbooks. It's found in memes, it's found in music, it's found almost everywhere.
Everywhere, right.
If you could teach English using a song, which song would you choose?
Nice. There is this song, the second one I learned actually in English, and I also introduced it just last week to my students. We Are the World by Michael Jackson.
We Are the World.
Yes.
By Michael Jackson.
Now, if you asked me the reason why I picked this song, maybe it's not even grammar-wise.
Okay.
Just because of the meaning, it conveys.
All right.
Yeah, that's the reason behind choosing this song to introduce to my students.
I've had to use that song sometime some years back to practice some presentations with the students. We Are the World.
Yeah.
We Are the World? No, I think it was Heal the World.
Heal the World.
Just kind of confusing
Make it
that.
a better place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, both songs have
Very
a powerful,
deep meaning. Yeah, powerful
deep meaning, powerful one. Yeah. And maybe I'm even confused. I don't know now whether it was Heal the World or it was We Are the World that I first learned, but one of them. Either way, they are all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Mozambique's culture is very vibrant. How do you integrate? How do you weave the tradition into your teaching process? Have you ever had to use, like, for example, I would say local or typical local names or traditional names to make the lessons more authentic? Like, for example, I would say you are teaching verbs, how to use them in a sentence. Then you probably decide to use the word shiginya, for example, just to make it appear more authentic.
I think I do that most often because I wish all my lessons were more interactive. You know, like all the students are there interacting, and they will interact the moment you introduce to them something they already know. There is this thing we call realia in teaching. So exactly. So if you
using real objects.
Exactly. If you're bringing something they already know, it's going to be interesting for them, and they will be very engaged in your class. So most often I use that. When we're talking about verbs, like there are some verbs that, you know, I mean, not just verbs, like even words that you can relate to our own languages. For example, you're teaching them, like introducing the language to them, like, how you say, como está, right? How are you? So, because you know students that most often will read that word how as ho.
Ho, yeah.
Yeah. So you just remind them of a monkey. How do you call a monkey in Shangano, Shironga? And then they go like, how?
How?
Exactly.
Yeah, how.
And that's how you will bring that to their mind that, so whenever they see that word, they know it's not ho, it is how. Because the teachers mentioned that the way we pronounce it, it's quite similar to how we call a monkey in our language.
Oh, that's a very impressive strategy.
Also because I'm working in a rural area, and most children, I must tell you, are not even good at Portuguese.
Oh,
so now imagine if they would be able to grasp English that easily. So if you bring Shangana, for example, to the class,
it'd be very interesting to do like to cover with a report, a documentary of your work. I believe you do have some video, you know, like.
I usually don't take videos. You know, because of that consent. Is there a reason for that? Yeah. The consent. You have to have consent from their parents that yes, you can have videos. Sometimes you want to post online and all those things. You cannot just do those things randomly. You have to have consent. I do have some videos and all around, but I do not take videos most often. There is one I took of my students. Oh my God, whenever I see that video, I get amazed with myself. I was teaching numbers from 0 to 20. And then there is this trend on TikTok. It was viral, like I think months ago, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I told them, you cannot imagine, I'm teaching them, we had a 45-minute lesson. I told them, I used that as the warm-up. No, it was not the warm-up, actually, it was the practice. So I told them, because the time was already over, and I said, go home and practice. Tomorrow when you come back, we are going to start from this. They are coming back. I actually moved them from the classroom to an open space, and I said, I asked them, do you remember the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like just chant we just did yesterday? They were like, yes. And their energy was just the best. And then they started chanting
Okay.
and chanting, and then it was so, I mean, it was amazing, actually. It was really good. And I felt like I had done something. At least TikTok had done me good. The
Yeah.
moment I found that trend online, and I decided to use it in
That was
classroom.
good.
Yeah, that was really, really
That
good.
was good.
Yeah, I do have the video, but I still haven't posted and I'm
it.
like, I'm not even going to post it.
Okay.
Yeah, if I
see.
post, I'll just cover their faces
That's
because
fair.
I don't
That's fair
want.
enough.
Yeah, I don't want, and I
That's
don't want to
fair
have
enough.
an issue with them.
Yeah.
Imagine they
It'd
grow
be
up and
beautiful.
they're like,
Yeah, that would be good.
yeah.
Now, I know that you're also involved into some, church program coordination now across, I think, Africa. Such
Yes.
Many. Tell us, how does English language bridge faith and activism in these spaces?
Wow, that's one of the things English has done for me. Let me tell everyone who is going to watch,
Yeah.
who
You
is
have your
watching
camera
the
there.
podcast.
Yeah.
English can change lives, actually. And it has changed mine, actually.
Okay.
So maybe I wouldn't be in these spaces if I did not speak English.
Okay.
So now I find myself in many places because I can speak English and most often representing my country.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So yeah, I go to spaces in which I'm the only Mozambican, imagine.
Wow.
And the largest group I've encountered was in Germany because it was the World Council of Churches General Assembly. Imagine there were around 4,000 people and I was the only Mozambican there.
Okay.
So just imagine, English has
Yeah.
opened doors, and yeah, it is just amazing. And
Indeed.
it is good because I'm able to communicate with other people despite their origins, their cultural backgrounds, and all those things. And I learn a lot. There is also something new that I learn from those friends, those that I make,
Yes.
those people I interact with. So yeah, it has been beautiful, a beautiful journey, actually.
Quite
Yeah, and at this
inspiring.
point, although I sometimes I feel bad because we do not use our languages that much, but at this point, I would recommend people to really try to learn English. But also, please do not leave our roots behind because our languages are our identity. Do not feel ashamed, to speak Shangaan. Yeah, because you know what happens? Like you are in a public transport, you're speaking Shangaan on the phone and people start looking at you as if you were crazy. No. If we
You're
go
not.
to East Africa, people are speaking Swahili on national radios.
Yeah.
They are on podcasts speaking Swahili.
In the parliament.
Exactly that. Why can't we just introduce our own languages?
Of course.
Why can't the parliament in Mozambique introduce our own languages? They could be there speaking, Ndau, Shona, like our own languages, Chimakonde, and all those things. It would be powerful. You go to Zimbabwe, you'll hear people speaking Shona. And it's just normal. Those are our languages, but we prioritize Portuguese. If it's not Portuguese, it's English. And then now they're even talking about introducing Mandarin to public schools.
We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see that.
Yeah,
but let's
definitely.
call in our second segment. We call it From Blunder to Wonder. Let's have the intro. Welcome back from Blunder to Wonder. It's a segment that celebrates those awkward moments when you used to use some expressions or word in English or even pronunciation wrongly without knowing, and that later in time you came to realize that you've been using all these expressions, either saying them incorrectly. Has that ever happened to you? Do you recall any words or pronunciations or maybe expression used in the wrong context?
Oh, I'm pretty sure I've done that.
Most of us have done that.
Exactly. And sometimes we do not even notice that we've made a mistake. Maybe because we are panicking, we are speaking in front of people. Sometimes you are even like typing and later on you realize, oh my goodness, this, I should not have written this way.
Let me tell you my story. If you, since you cannot remember your word now, when I was once in chatting with some students, and we were talking about movies. What is your favorite movie and stuff? And then I said mine was the one by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then I said Predator. And then the students were so confused because they couldn't find which movie was I talking about. Predator. And the kids were like, teacher, but when was this movie released? And then I had to write the word on the board. And then somebody says, you mean Predator?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
You mean Predator. But I didn't know. I mean, I was honest. I really didn't know what was the pronunciation.
And that happens a lot. Actually, I'm just trying to remember something because most often when I'm on calls with friends, there are times I fail to remember how to pronounce some words. And then, because they know my situation. I'm a Portuguese speaker. And, like when you are a bilingual or multilingual, there is this crazy thing that happens. You are speaking in English, and then words come in Portuguese.
You are thinking in another language.
Exactly. And then you fail to say the word in English. And the same thing happens when I'm speaking Portuguese. So words will come to my mind in English. That's just crazy. So that happens a lot, actually. I just cannot remember like a specific word, but that happens a lot. Oh, maybe there is this word, gastritis, or, okay. So this friend of mine, I was telling him, like I had this issue in my stomach and stuff. So I asked him, how do you even pronounce this word? And it told me gastritis, if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was about to say gastritis.
Okay.
And I was like, actually, I think it is okay also to say it that way. So that happens actually.
All right.
A lot.
Well, so that was it with From Blunder to Wonder. Matter of fact, I just forgot to tell you that if you also have your own blunder word that you would like to share with us, don't forget to just post it in the comment section. Well, moving on, almost coming near the end of our conversation. Where do you see English in Mozambique, like 10 years from now?
We are in a situation that I believe that in 10, 15 years from now, many people will be speaking English.
Okay.
The first thing is that we are isolated in the Southern Africa region, where all other countries speak English, and we are the only ones that speak Portuguese.
Speaking,
exactly.
Yes.
So everyone, I think, has seen the need of learning English because at some point we all know that we will move. I mean, we will have an opportunity to go abroad. Even if you go to South Africa, sometimes people say, South Africa, they speak Xitsonga, for example, but it's just in Mpumalanga, in Nanza, like those places. If you go to Western Cape, what is going to happen to you? You do not speak Afrikaans. You will need to have some English. So I believe most people will speak English by then.
Okay, you sound like a mentor to many people, and I believe you are, to people who are inspired by you. What is the one piece advice that you would give to the next generation of Mozambican English teachers?
And English teachers?
English teachers, in order to let's say, to revolutionize.
Okay, I would say take your time to learn the language. Do not miss any opportunity to learn English. I'm not saying, once again, that we should leave our languages behind, but if you have any opportunity, just go ahead and learn the language. Practice as much as you can, improve your language skills, and just wait for the bright future that is ahead. I'm not saying that English is the future, though. because we can still have many opportunities as Portuguese speakers, but also with English, opportunities are
wide.
Yeah, exactly, are wide. So take an opportunity and.
Yes, we're coming very, very close to the end, but we still have our final segment, which we call the 5 Fabs. Let's have them. Welcome back. Well, we have the 5 Fabs. 5 Fabs are basically your 5 English related things. And I'm going to ask you very quickly because our time is very tight now. And just straightforward, give me the answer. What is your favorite English word?
My favorite English word, I'll just go for love.
Love.
Yes.
Wow, beautiful. What is your favorite English phrase or idiom? Or quote?
Okay. It always seems impossible until it's done, by Nelson Mandela.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I've heard that quite times. Number 3, what is your favorite song or lyric?
Oh, okay. Now I'm just thinking of all my life you have been so good. What is the title of that one song?
By who? Who sings that?
Cece Winans.
Cece Winans.
Yes.
Okay.
I forgot the title of the song.
I know who the lady is, but I don't know the song. No, the lady. I know the singer. Yeah.
Okay. And all my life you have been faithful.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Is that a gospel song?
That's a gospel song.
Very good.
Yeah.
The next one, what is your favorite English book or author, if you have one?
Okay, so there is this book, the first book I bought by myself, How I Know God Answers Prayer. That's by Rosalind Goforth.
Okay. Next one, what is your favorite, and this is the last one, what is your favorite English accent?
Yeah, that's tricky.
That funny?
That's funny and tricky. I've never thought of that.
Okay.
But as long as it's something new for me, I think I just fall in love with it. So if you're bringing something new, then I'll just fall in love.
Which accent do you think you are?
Which accent?
Do you think you speak? British,
Most people,
Canadian,
no, British definitely
American,
it's not British.
or a blend?
It could be blend, but most people say it's American, so I would go for American.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Laquitissa, for your precious time. Today you've managed to unplug a lot of amazing stories with us and, of course, with the audience in general. And you are most welcome to come back at any time.
Oh, thank you so much. That was an amazing time here. Well spent, actually. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be here with you, talking to this amazing audience. I hope everyone was able to learn something and everyone will be able to share in the comments about their own experiences and all those things. And I hope to be back anytime soon. Just waiting for the invitation, though.
Thank you. You'll have it soon.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And to our viewers at home, just remember that education is a collective effort. Whether you are a teacher, parent, policymaker, just remember that together we can transform the way how education is conducted in Mozambique. Well, if you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe for more episodes of Chat Desk Unplugged with me, Tim Alfredo, right here on Mindcast TV. Ciao, ciao.